Hello, my name is Hassan Sorrells, and this is the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast, Shorts. There's no co-host on these Shorts episodes. These are now around 6 to 8 minute long observations, ideas, thoughts, or rants about the literature, philosophy, psychology, and even the theology of leadership. Because listening to me talk about leadership for now around 6 to 8 minutes is still better than reading and trying to understand yet another business book. Even that business book that has been sitting in your Amazon queue that you just haven't been able to bring yourself to purchase for around the last 6 months. Postmodern problems sometimes require pre-modern solutions. Case in point, right now in our time, there is a lack of understanding by various leaders about the importance of borders and boundaries from the nation-state level all the way down to the interpersonal level. Which is not surprising, as many leaders, cultural, political, financial, any other all you can think of, many leaders today either possess a temperament that prioritizes openness or they work and lead in environments that prioritize openness. And while openness to ideas is not the same as openness to boundaries and borders at a nation-state level or even an interpersonal level, once that temperament has been activated in the human mind and heart, prioritized, and outcomes from it have been materially rewarded, well, human beings aren't stupid. They tend to repeat what works. But there is a whole other side to this as well, and that is occupied by people who possess a temperament that prioritizes skepticism about the validity of openness, or they work and lead in environments that prioritize such skepticism. And while skepticism to ideas and change is not the same as closing boundaries and shutting down borders, once that temperament has been activated, prioritized, and outcomes from such a skeptical temperament have been materially rewarded, well, remember what I just mentioned about human beings and their fecund level of intelligence. So what does this have to do with postmodern problems? Well, humans with postmodern minds, some of whom are listening to me right now, or at least minds captured by postmodern philosophies, tend to take the political, psychological, and cultural, philosophical position that being skeptical of prosperity, closed borders and boundaries, and overweening success is an overall human net negative. This is compounded by the fact of historical wrongs that cannot be erased, no matter how godlike our scientific materialism makes us in the present. Then that is combined with the manipulation that philosophical nihilism and existential irreligious dread brings about the climate, ethnic and racial separatism, technology, and on and on and on. And you've got a mixture there that engenders a sense of cultural pessimism and the problem of a lack of cultural confidence. And it doesn't help when cultural and political elites on the one hand preach cultural pessimism and postmodern nihilism, that toxic mix I was just talking about, but then on the other hand live out their lives with intact but dysfunctional marriages, armed security guards, and high walls around their houses with plenty of blood-sucking lawyers to sue you if you try to climb them. Oh, and of course, high metaphorical walls around their fabulous wealth. There are no quote-unquote open borders around the houses, yards, and compounds of all the folks attending the last World Economic Forum meeting. See, people who think of themselves as quote-unquote elite and quote-unquote better than you and I have and promote confidence in their betterness and in their eliteness, but they aren't promoting that for you, the manager or supervisor of the small business that generates more value than a bureaucratic regulator could ever create, no matter how elite they believe they are. Here's the solution. Lead your people to confidence in themselves in your small business or your effort, and they will naturally begin to grow more and more skeptical of the false promises that never-ending utopian openness brings. And then they will vote for politicians and policymakers that share their skepticism and their cultural confidence. And well, that's it for me. Thank you for listening and subscribing to the Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast. If you're listening to this on any of the major podcast players, like iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, please go ahead and leave us a 5-star review and write a little bit in there. A couple of sentences is good enough. That actually helps us game those algorithms that I was just maybe addressing. And, of course, it helps us grow the show. Tell all your family, tell all your friends, and tell the leaders in your life that you know that need to be listening to this show that this show exists. By the way, if you want to get started on the leadership path yourself, or you know some people who need to go on the leadership path, HSCT Publishing, the home company of Leadership Toolbox and Leadership Lessons from the Great Books podcast, can help you and your team do that. So check out our training webinars, coaching services, and more at leadershiptoolbox.us. We are remote, we're live, we're in person, we're on video, and we've got leadership development solutions for your civic group, nonprofit staff, public sector staff, or even your private sector leaders. And of course, you're going to want to check out our video-based subscription service at leadingkeys.com. That's leadingkeys.com for leadership development on demand. You don't like videos, you don't like training, but you really like the podcast? Well, I would also recommend reading a book. Matter of fact, I'd recommend reading my most recent book, 12 Rules for Leaders, The Foundation of Intentional Leadership. You can get that in paperback, hardcover, or as an ebook on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kobo, Ingram Spark, and any other place that you order books online. Finally, of course, we're on YouTube just like everybody else is. We'd love to have you help us grow the YouTube channel, so like and subscribe to the video version of this podcast on the HSCT Publishing channel on YouTube. Just search for HSCT Publishing, or you can search for Leadership Toolbox and hit the subscribe button. Subscribing helps us grow the show. As it does with the audio, just is the same with the video. All right, that's it for me.